Welcome to section 4.1, in which we go through graphs and charts. The first four questions are similar to 4.1's part A, B, and C, all numbers 1 through 6, where we will go to the map section of your Bible. You could also go to the Doctrine and Covenants for your homework problems. Ours are only in the Bible. So we can use our physical scriptures, or we can go to lds.org and go to the Bible maps. The first thing I'm going to do is go to the index and find my four locations: the Dead Sea, the Garden Tomb, Jordan River, and Samaria. So the first one I'm going to go to is the Dead Sea. So I'm going to scroll down alphabetically. There's the Dead Sea, and I have lots of options that I can go to. I'm just going to go to the very first one, and I can, oops, we also need to make sure that we memorize C7. This means that I'm going to the first map in the Bible maps, and in there I'm looking for the location of C7. So I can enlarge this by Control and zooming in by scrolling my mouse, or I can click to view larger and it'll bring it up in a PDF format. Okay, so now I want to go over to ABC and then find number 7 down here. So see, this is C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, C6, and there's C7, exactly where the Dead Sea should be. Now if I wanted to put this in my document for my answers, and maybe you want it there for your own uh, notes, we can press Print Screen up in the top next to the backspace and the delete button. Go back into our document, and here I'm going to put Control V to paste it in. There we go, and I'm just going to whittle this down a little bit. There we go, and we have the Dead Sea for our first question. And we can cut some stuff out of that by cropping down the edges so that we get straight to the Dead Sea. And I'm going to leave up 7 over here. And I'm going to crop it in just a little bit more and maybe even make a note to myself that it was in C7. All right, the next one is the Garden Tomb. So I'm going to press back. And again, these are in alphabetical order. So scrolling down, the Garden Tomb in Jerusalem. This is map 12, B3. There we go. And I'm going to view it larger. And remember, we're looking for B3. So here's B. Now I need to come down to section 3. There we go. So the Garden Tomb, oh, there it is. So I'm going to, again, print screen. Come into section 4.1, Control V, and I can crop some of this down again. The Garden Tomb is there. I don't want to crop it all out on this side because I want to prove that it was in C3. And this is just for those of you who want, oh, it was B3. Right. B3. Okay, so that's how we can prove it in our own notes if we wanted just to keep that for our own records. The next two, I'm just going to go ahead and go through them by finding it how some of you may want to just speed things up. Okay, so now we're going to go to Jordan River, and we have different options here. I'm just going to go with the first option, map 1, C5, and view it larger. Okay, so C, now I need to scroll down to section 5. There we go, the Jordan River. And for our last one, and close out some of these. For our last one, it was Samaria, so we need to get down here to the S's. For Samaria, map 8, region C1. Okay, so there we are, map 8. And we're going to view C1. There we go, Samaria right there. And again, we could print our screen and put that on our Word document as well if we wanted to. All right. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and put this was C1 and Jordan River was, I think it was C5. All right, let's move on to the next one. This is reading a chart, and these questions are similar to part A, numbers 7 through 9, B 7 through 9, and C 7 through 9. So we have a chart that we've been given and we need to read it. In the first question, it asks, in what year did this company X make $3 million? So I'm going to look at my chart. Over here I have profit in millions and I have my numbers. Down on the bottom we have years. So I want to go find where the 3 million mark is. So here's 3 and it looks like there's actually 2 years. So I'm going to put both 2002 and this one falls right in between, so 2005. So I'm going to say 2002 and 2005. All right, the next question. How much growth did the company have from 2005 to 2006? Well, we did just look at 2005 right here, and that was at 3 million. 2006 is at 3.5 million. So it had a growth of $500,000. So I'm going to write $500,000. All right, and the last question. What year did the company earn the highest profit? So I just need to look at my chart and find the tallest peak. That'll be the largest profit. And come over here. It's at 4 million. And down, that was in 2004. So I'm going to type 2004, company X earned $4 million. There we go. And that's how we could go ahead and read our chart. If it asked us a question here about the most loss, we would say from 2007 to 2008, it went from 3.5 million down to 1. So it had quite the loss that year, and that was during the crash. So that makes sense. Let's move on to number 8, making a chart. This part is similar to part A, number 10, part B, number 10, and part C, number 10. So because I've already typed out my chart, I can just copy and paste this into Microsoft Excel. And I believe I've already done that for us. Or I could just do Control V, something like that. But I already have it here. So now I just need to chart out what this looks like. So I'm going to highlight everything. So that was a one left click, hold that click, and just highlight your cells. Then we're going to come up to Insert, and I'm going to do a scatter plot with my lines connecting the dots. And I want straight lines. We could do curved, but we don't know what's going on in between, so I'm going to do the straight. All right, so there's our chart. It's pretty basic, and if you want to just count that as counting it, go ahead. If you wanted to change the format a little over here or the layout, feel free. You could do something like this. I kind of like this one. And then I like to name my axes. So over here would be the amount of money. So let's put amount. Down here, we'll put number of years. And since I have my X and Y axis titled, I don't need to have my key anymore. And I can do savings account. There we go. And then I can copy and paste this in to here. And there's my answer. And if I wanted to go ahead and format some of this, I can either do it in Word or I can do it in Microsoft Excel. And I can make it look kind of cool. We can do some gradient, something like this. I can add a texture to the background. I can even add a picture if I wanted to. I can do one from there, or anyway, you can just format it however you would like. All right, let's move on to the next one. Graphing on a Cartesian coordinate system. This part is similar to part A, numbers 11 through 19, part B, 14 through 19, and part C, number 15 through 20. Now you'll notice we're missing a couple of questions here on part B and C. That will be in part 2 of the section 4.1. All right, now I have a different kind of interactive Cartesian coordinate system. It is on www.mathisfun.com /data/Cartesian coordinates dash interactive. Anyway, one thing that's kind of nice about this is that, so what I've done is I've unhighlighted everything. I went through and I edited by adding a couple of points, and it didn't matter where those points were because I moved this around to wherever I wanted it, and it'll be a nice way of being able to check if I did my coordinates right. So I'm going to come in here to section 4.1 and I need 2, 3. The Cartesian coordinate system was created by a mathematician, of course named Cartesian, and so 2 is the x coordinate and 3 is the y coordinate. X goes left and right. The y goes up and down. Now I have a lot of people who kind of get those mixed up sometimes. So what I like to do is I like to give you the option of saying y is tall. And so if you think about that y kind of going up and down, that will help you remember that this is the y-axis. Okay, so for the coordinate 2, 3, that means I need to go over 2 on the x because it was a positive 2 and up 3 in the y direction. And there we go. If I wanted to check that, I could press this little coordinate button, and of course I'm not exactly on because it will allow a little bit of leeway here. 2, 3, there we go. And my next one is 5, 0. So 5 meaning I need to move in the x direction 5 first. X means left and right, so I need to move to the right, positive 5. Now 5, 0 means I move 0 in the y direction, so I leave it. Want to check yourself really quick? I'm not quite exactly on the line. It's close enough for you, or for our sake. So if you're doing this by hand, what you would do is draw an X and a Y axis, give yourself some tally marks, or you could get some graph paper so you don't have to do this all out yourself to make sure that you know where you're going. All right. Now we're going to go to 0, 9. 0 meaning I go left and right absolutely nowhere, and then up 9, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's going to have to go up there. And the next one, -3, -1. So I'm going to go over -3. So -3 on the x-axis. Remember, left and right always first. -3 and -1. There we go. So we're in our third quadrant. For those of you who would like a quick reminder, the quadrants are labeled with the Roman numerals 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, and my next one, -1, 3. -1 in the x direction, 3 meaning up 3 in the y direction. There we go. And of course, it's not going to be exactly on, so it might say 0.1. All right, and our last one is 9, -6. So this one I need to move 9 in the x direction. So I move to the right 9. And then -6 means I go down in the y direction, -6. There we go. And I can click coordinates to kind of verify, oh, I got these pretty much on. That one, of course, not as close because I ran out. I could press, I believe, fit. There we go. And we needed to go up just a little more for the 9-0. That's going to be as close as it lets us get. Oh, okay, so that's how, oops, there we go. So that's how you graph on the Cartesian coordinate system. If you would like to join me for part 2, in which we go through, actually, I'm going to do a print screen here to put my answers here. Control V, print that, and there I have all my answers ready. So another quick little way to show that I've plotted all of my points on the Cartesian coordinate system. All right, that's the first part of section 4.1. I hope you join me for the second part, in which we go through creating the table and the growth of a savings account for 20 years in Microsoft Excel.